She runs. Not because she wants to, but because stopping would mean dying. Her bare feet slam against frozen earth, sharp stones slicing skin already numb from cold. Snow sprays up with every step, turning pink where her blood hits it. The forest is a blur of black trunks and white ground, branches clawing at her hair like they know she doesn't belong anymore. The wind screams through the trees, loud and cruel, like it's shouting the same thing her pack did. Run! 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 Her lungs burn. Each breath feels too shallow, too slow, like her body is betraying her on purpose. She presses a trembling hand to her side, fingers coming away slick and hot. The wound won't close. It hasn't since they gave it to her. Claw marks. Pack marks. Punishment. Behind her, the howls rise again, closer now. Familiar voices twisted by rage and hunger. Wolves who once shared meals with her. Who once laughed with her. Now they hunt her like prey, like she's something that escaped a cage. She doesn't look back. Looking back would break her. Her heart pounds so hard it hurts, like it's trying to tear its way out of her chest. Fear curls tight in her stomach, but underneath it, something else stirs. Something hot. Something dangerous. No. Not now. Her thoughts fracture as she runs, breath hitching, mind screaming the same command over and over. Run. Don't shift. Not yet. Not like this. Because if she lets it out, if she loses control, there's no taking it back. The forest opens suddenly, and she skids to a stop just in time. A ravine yawns in front of her, wide and dark, fog rolling up from its depths like breath from some sleeping beast. Ice coats the edges, treacherous and thin. One wrong step and she's gone. She stumbles anyway. Her knee hits the ground hard, pain shooting up her leg. She cries out before she can stop herself, the sound ripped away by the wind. Her hands sink into snow, shaking, useless. For a split second, the world tilts, and hopelessness crashes over her so fast it steals her breath. This is it, a voice whispers inside her. This is where it ends. The howls close in, circling now. She can hear them clearly, paws crunching snow, breath huffing, the low growls that used to mean play, now sharpened into promise. Her body starts to burn. Not from cold. From heat. Silver heat. It flares under her skin like lightning trapped in her veins, racing up her spine, pooling in her chest. Her scars, hidden beneath torn clothes, throb and ache, waking like they've been waiting for this moment. Her vision blurs, not with tears, but with light. She gasps, fingers digging into the ground as her muscles tense, bones aching, begging to change. Just let go, the power urges. Let me protect you. She shakes her head hard, teeth clenched. Panic floods her. If she shifts now, if she unleashes what's inside her, she won't just be defending herself. She'll be proving them right. Monster. Danger. Mistake. Her breath comes out in a sob she hates herself for. She presses her forehead to the snow, eyes squeezed shut, fighting the fire with everything she has left. No, she whispers, voice breaking. Not like this. Not again. A shadow moves at the edge of the fog. Her heart stutters. Footsteps, slow, heavy, unhurried. Not the frantic rush of hunters. Something else. Something that doesn't need to hurry, because it knows it owns the ground it walks on. The howls falter. Silence drops over the forest so suddenly it feels wrong, like the world itself is holding its breath. She lifts her head, just enough to see a tall shape step through the fog at the ravine's edge. Broad shoulders. Stillness carved from power. Eyes that catch the pale light and hold it. An alpha. Her chest tightens, fear and disbelief tangling together. Of all the places to fall, of all the moments to break, this is where fate brings her. The silver heat inside her surges again, responding to him like it recognizes something it was never supposed to touch. She scrambles back, palms slipping, breath coming fast and shallow. Every instinct screams at her to run again, but there's nowhere left to go. The alpha stops a few steps away. He doesn't attack, doesn't snarl. He just looks at her, gaze heavy and unreadable, like he's seeing more than blood and fear and torn skin. Like he's seeing her. And if your heart is racing right now, if you feel that tight pull in your chest, stay with this story. Subscribe to Moonbound Werewolf Romance Stories. Because some scars were never meant to stay hidden. She doesn't know it yet, but this moment, right here, on the edge of the ravine, is the last second of her life as a hunted girl. Everything after this will burn. Everything after this will burn. The alpha steps fully into view, and the forest seems to bend around him. He doesn't rush. Doesn't bare his teeth or announce himself. He just stands there, solid, unmovable, like the ground finally decided to fight back. The fog curls at his boots, thin and pale, as if it knows better than to touch him for long. She feels it before she understands it. Pressure. Not the crushing kind. Not dominance forced down her throat like she's known before. This is controlled. Contained. A power held tight behind discipline and scars of its own. Her breath catches. His massive, broad shoulders stretching the dark coat he wears. Arms corded with strength earned, not inherited. His presence steals the cold from the air, replaces it with something heavier. Warmer. More dangerous. Golden eyes lift and meet hers. And then he says her name. Not the name her pack spat like a curse. Her real name. Said clearly. Correctly. Like it still belongs to her. Her body locks up. Every instinct screams at once, run, kneel, fight, hide. Shame crawls up her spine, hot and bitter, right alongside a traitorous pull low in her stomach she refuses to acknowledge. How does he know? She hasn't given it. Hasn't spoken since she fell. The wolves behind her go silent, their presence suddenly uncertain, confused. They know him. She can feel it in the way their fear changes shape. The alpha of the Black Moon Pack. She's heard stories. Everyone has. A ruler who doesn't waste words. A leader who survived what should have killed him. A wolf who broke his own chains and never let anyone put new ones on. His gaze flicks past her, just once. That's all it takes. A snarl rips through the stillness, as one of her pursuers lunges, desperate or stupid enough to try. The alpha moves so fast it barely registers as motion. One step. One hand. Bone cracks like dry wood snapping underfoot. There's no roar. No speech. No satisfaction. Just efficiency. The body hits the snow behind her with a dull thud, lifeless before it settles. Blood steams where it spills, the scent sharp and metallic in the freezing air. The rest of the wolves stop dead. No one challenges him. The alpha turns back to her like nothing happened, like ending a life cost him nothing at all. But she sees it, the tightness in his jaw, the way his fingers curl once before relaxing again. Control. Always control. You shouldn't be here, he says. His voice is low, steady, worn smooth by command and restraint. It doesn't accuse. It doesn't threaten. It just states a truth. Then he adds, quieter, sharper. But they shouldn't have hunted you. Something in her chest cracks at that. Not relief. Not safety. Recognition. Her legs finally give, and she slumps back against the icy ground, too exhausted to stand, too proud to beg. The silver heat inside her pulses, restless, responding to him like it knows him in some way she doesn't. She hates that most of all. His eyes drop to her side, to the blood soaking her torn clothes, the wound that refuses to close. His brow furrows, not with disgust, not with fear, but with something like restrained anger. Who did this, he asks. She laughs once, breathless and bitter. It scrapes her throat raw. You already know. He does? She can see it in his eyes. The pack marks are obvious to anyone who understands them. Punishment disguised as justice. Fear pretending to be law. Still, he doesn't comment. He steps closer instead. Every nerve in her body lights up. She braces, muscles tightening, ready to fight or flee even though she knows she can't win either. He stops just short of touching her, close enough that she can feel the heat of him, the quiet power rolling off his skin. For a moment, he just looks at her. Not like prey. Not like a weapon. Like a problem he refuses to simplify. You're shaking, he says, softer now. Not a command. An observation. She hates that he notices. Hates that he's right. I'm not afraid of you, she snaps, even as her teeth chatter. One corner of his mouth lifts, not quite a smile. I know. That disarms her more than kindness would have. His gaze lingers on her face, then drops again to her injuries. He notices the way her body fights itself, the way her breath stutters when the silver heat flares and she forces it down. You're holding something back, he says. Her heart slams against her ribs. Too close. Too accurate. Don't, she warns, voice thin. You don't get to. I'm not here to take anything from you, he interrupts, firm but calm. And I'm not here to expose what you're not ready to show. His eyes lift again, meeting hers, steady and unflinching. But you won't survive another mile like this. Behind them, the forest remains frozen in silence. The remaining wolves have retreated, cowed by his presence, but not gone forever. She knows that. He knows it too. She swallows hard. Trust has never been her strength. Still, as the cold seeps deeper into her bones and her vision starts to blur at the edges, she realizes something terrifying. For the first time since the night they carved her into a warning. She wants to believe him. And the alpha of the Black Moon Pack, standing between her and everything that wants her dead, seems to sense that this choice, this fragile, trembling moment, is about to change both of their lives forever. The alpha moves first. Not away from her, around her. He positions himself between her and the forest, back straight, senses stretched wide. Only then does he reach for her, careful, deliberate, as if he knows one wrong touch could shatter what little balance she has left. His hand closes around her arm, warm and steady, grounding her enough to stand. She hates that she leans into it. They move through the trees slowly. Each step sends a sharp reminder through her body, pain flaring, blood seeping. The night presses in, heavy and watchful. Snow crunches beneath them, the sound too loud in the quiet. He keeps his pace matched to hers, even though she knows he could carry her without effort. That restraint again. Always restraint. As they walk, memories slip loose inside her, uninvited. She remembers running like this before, but then, the forest had felt like home. She'd been smaller, lighter, laughing as her pack chased her through the trees, her mother's voice calling out warnings she pretended not to hear. She remembers warm hands, shared meals, nights curled between siblings under the stars. She remembers believing she was safe. The memory twists, sharp and sudden. The night her power first surfaced comes back in fragments. A training circle. Elders watching. Expectation thick in the air. She'd shifted before, everyone had, but this time, when the change took her, the fire came with it. Not blue. Silver. It burned through her veins, bright and wrong and beautiful. The ground beneath her feet had scorched. The air had screamed. She'd felt strong for the first time in her life, whole. The silence afterward had been worse than any scream. Fear in every face. Elders stepping back instead of forward. Whispers tearing through the circle like knives. Cursed. Unnatural. Dangerous. She remembers being grabbed, held down by wolves she'd grown up with. She remembers the smell of burning flesh, her own scream ripping itself raw as they pressed hot iron to her back, carving symbols meant to bind, to warn, to control. The scars never faded. 16 years old, marked like a threat, shoved beyond the pack boundary with nothing but torn clothes and a single warning. Never come back. Her steps falter in the present. Her breath catches, chest tight like the past has reached out to grab her again. The alpha notices immediately. Easy, he says quietly, tightening his grip just enough to keep her upright. She doesn't answer. Can't. The weight of it all presses too hard. They reach a narrow clearing, sheltered by stone and thick trees. He guides her to sit, lowering her carefully onto a fallen log. She flinches when she moves, and he stills, waiting until her breathing evens out again. The silence stretches. She stares at the snow, jaw clenched, fighting the urge to pull away from his touch. Alphas mean rules. Alphas mean judgment. Alphas mean chains dressed up as protection. So why doesn't this one feel like that? Why does his presence quiet the storm inside her, even when every instinct tells her it shouldn't? I don't need your pity, she says finally, voice hoarse. His hand doesn't leave her arm. Good, he replies. I don't give pity. She risks a glance at him then. His expression is unreadable, but his eyes are steady, intent, like he's listening to something deeper than her words. Then why help me, she asks. He exhales slowly, as if the question costs him something. Because I know what fear does when it's allowed to make decisions. Her chest tightens again, this time with something close to recognition. She laughs under her breath, bitter and tired. You don't know anything about me. Then tell me, he says. The words hang there, simple and impossible. She doesn't tell him everything. She can't. But pieces slip out anyway, rough and unpolished. Exile. Hunger. Nights spent hiding her scent, binding her power until it hurt more than letting it loose ever could. Learning to sleep with one eye open. Learning never to hope. As she speaks, she feels exposed, like she's peeled back layers she's kept armored for years. The silver heat inside her stirs again, restless, reacting to the way he watches her, not with fear, not with hunger, but with something dangerously close to understanding. When she finishes, the silence returns. Deeper now. He doesn't rush to fill it. Finally, he speaks. They were wrong, he says. The words hit harder than any accusation ever has. She swallows, throat tight. You don't know that. I do, he answers, firm. Because if they were right, you wouldn't be fighting yourself so hard right now. Her breath shudders. She looks away, blinking fast, angry at the burn behind her eyes. She has survived alone for years. She has trusted no one. Especially not alphas. And yet, sitting there in the cold, blooded and exhausted, with his presence steady at her side, she feels something terrifying begin to grow. Not hope. Something more dangerous. The possibility that she was never the monster they made her believe she was. And that this alpha, this controlled, watchful, impossible alpha, might be the first one who sees her not as a curse, but as a truth the world was too afraid to face. They move again before the silence can turn dangerous. The forest changes as they walk, subtle at first, then undeniable. The trees grow older, their trunks wider, bark twisted with age. The air thickens, heavy with something that hums just beneath hearing. Even the snow seems reluctant to touch the ground here, drifting slower, quieter. She feels it before she sees it. The pull. It tugs low in her chest, right where the silver heat lives, drawing her forward with a certainty that makes her uneasy. Her steps slow. Her breathing turns shallow. The alpha notices immediately. His body goes rigid, every muscle locking into alert stillness. His hand lifts slightly, not to stop her, but as if to steady himself. No, he mutters, almost to himself. The trees open into a circular grove. Ancient stone rises from the center, half buried in frost and moss. An altar, cracked but unbroken, etched with runes that glow faintly beneath layers of time. Symbols older than packs. Older than laws. The air vibrates here, alive in a way the rest of the forest is not. The alpha doesn't step forward. He knows this place. His breath leaves him slow and controlled, but she hears the shift beneath it. Respect. Caution. Something dangerously close to fear. Her scars ignite. The pain hits without warning, white-hot, sharp enough to steal the air from her lungs. She gasps, staggering as the markings burned into her back flare alive, heat rippling outward beneath her skin. The silver inside her surges in response, no longer content to be held down. The runes on the altar answer. One by one, they brighten, silver light threading through stone like veins waking from sleep. The ground trembles, not violently, but with recognition. She stares, heart slamming against her ribs. This isn't possible, she whispers. The alpha finally moves, stepping beside her, his gaze locked on the altar. His voice is low, reverent, stripped of command. It's real. The world tilts. The glow fades at the edges, sound draining away until there's only light and heat and memory that doesn't belong to her. She sees it. A vast night sky splitting open. A wolf rising from flame, not burning, not consumed, but made of fire itself. Silver fire. Its eyes ancient and knowing. Its howl cracks mountains. A crown falls, shattering against stone, power breaking in half. Packs kneel. Not in terror. In awe. The vision shifts again. She sees herself, or someone like her, standing alone at the center of it all, scars glowing, fire bending to her will without destroying her. Wolves gather, not to bind or brand, but to follow. The images slam back into her body all at once. She screams. The alpha catches her before she falls, his arms locking around her as the grove stills, the light dimming until only the runes glow faintly again. She gasps for breath, heart racing, skin burning, vision swimming. Her hands clutch at his coat, not in fear, but because letting go feels impossible. No, she says, shaking her head hard, a broken laugh tearing from her chest. No. That's not, this is wrong. Her body trembles, exhaustion and fury colliding. She pulls away from him, staggering back, eyes blazing. They carved these into me because they were afraid, she spits, voice raw. Because they didn't understand what they saw. That's all this is. Fear dressed up as prophecy. The alpha doesn't argue. He watches her with an intensity that makes her skin prickle, like he's seeing her for the first time, and the 100th, at once. The legends speak of someone marked, he says slowly. Someone bound by silver flame. The one who breaks old crowns and forces packs to kneel, not through force, but truth. She laughs again, sharper this time. Legends are excuses people use when they don't want to take responsibility for what they've done. Her scars still burn, but the pain has shifted. It's no longer punishment. It's a question. She presses her palm to her back, jaw tight. I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose it. No, he agrees quietly. But you survived it. The words settle into her chest, heavy and unsettling. She looks at the altar again, at the faintly glowing runes that respond to her presence like they've been waiting a very long time. For the first time, fear isn't the strongest thing she feels. It's anger. Not at the power. Not at the vision. At the lie she was forced to live with, that she was broken instead of feared for what she could become. She straightens slowly, shoulders squaring despite the pain. If this place thinks it owns me, she says, voice low and steady, it's wrong. The alpha's gaze sharpens, not with challenge, but respect. Then don't let it own you, he says. Define it. The grove remains silent. Waiting. And in that ancient, humming stillness, she realizes something that both terrifies and steadies her at once. Whatever destiny is reaching for her, she doesn't intend to surrender to it quietly. The first howl cuts through the grove like a blade. Then another. Then many. The silence shatters. Shapes emerge from the trees, wolves shifting mid-stride, bodies snapping into human form as they cross the grove's boundary. Pack members. Warriors. Elders. Faces pulled tight with shock and unease as they take in the glowing runes, the alpha standing rigid beside her, and her. Whispers ripple outward like a sickness. That's her. The marked one. I thought she was dead. Fear spreads fast. Faster than reason ever does. She feels it settle on her skin, heavy and familiar. The silver heat inside her flares, reacting to the attention, to the judgment. She keeps her chin up anyway, even as every instinct screams at her to brace. A tall figure steps forward from the crowd. Another alpha. His presence is sharp, aggressive, all teeth and challenge. His eyes rake over her openly, lingering on her wounds, her dirt-streaked skin, the faint glow still pulsing beneath it. So it's true, he says loudly, voice carrying. The curse crawled its way back into our lands. Her jaw tightens. The alpha beside her stiffens, shoulders squaring. Watch your mouth. The rival alpha smiles, cold and satisfied. You brought her here. To this place. His gaze flicks to the altar, then back to her. Do you have any idea what she is? The murmurs grow louder. Someone takes a step back. Someone else bares their teeth. She recognizes the looks. She's worn them before, on others' faces. Fear dressed up as righteousness. I know exactly what she is, the alpha says evenly. The rival alpha laughs. Then say it. Say it out loud. The council elders push forward now, robes heavy, expressions carved from stone. One of them lifts a hand, silencing the crowd with practiced authority. This grove is sacred, the elder says. And she has awakened it. All eyes turn to her. The elder's gaze is not cruel. That somehow makes it worse. You cannot stay. The words hit harder than claws ever did. You bring unrest, another elder adds. Fear. Division. The rival alpha nods sharply. She always has. The alpha beside her doesn't speak. Not yet. She turns to him, heart pounding, waiting for something, anything. A denial. A line drawn in the earth. His jaw is clenched tight, eyes dark with calculation, with weight she can't see, but feels all the same. Leadership. Duty. People watching his every breath. The elder looks at him now. You are alpha of the Black Moon Pack. This decision is yours to carry. The rival alpha's voice cuts in, sharp and cruel. Choose your people, or the abomination. The word lands like a slap. Time stretches thin. She feels it in her chest, the moment pulling apart, thread by thread. The silver heat inside her thrashes, furious, wounded. Every scar burns like it's being carved anew. The alpha hesitates. Not because he doesn't care. Because he cares too much. She sees it then, clear and devastating. The weight on his shoulders. The lives tied to his choices. The truth that standing with her here would mean war. Exile. Blood. He is measuring consequences. And in that pause, something inside her breaks clean in two. She laughs softly, a sound stripped of humor. Don't, she says, before he can speak. He turns to her sharply. Wait. No, she interrupts, voice steady even as her chest caves in. I've waited my whole life for people to decide whether I'm worth the risk. She steps back, away from him, away from the altar, away from the fragile thing that almost formed between them. The crowd parts instinctively. No one touches her. No one stops her. She looks at him one last time. He's watching her like he wants to say her name again. Like he wants to reach for her and damn the cost. He doesn't. That's all the answer she needs. She nods once, short and sharp. Acceptance hardening into something colder. Make your choice, she says quietly. I already have. Then she turns and walks into the trees. The forest swallows her fast, shadows closing in like old friends. The howls don't follow. The fear does. Behind her, voices rise again, argument, outrage, relief. She doesn't listen. She keeps walking until the grove's hum fades, until the silver heat inside her settles into a low, aching burn. She doesn't cry. She's done giving anyone that piece of her. But with every step, something else takes root in the space where hope briefly lived. Resolve. If the world insists on seeing her as a threat, then she will decide what kind of one she becomes. She doesn't know how long she walks. Time blurs into cold and pain and the steady thud of her heartbeat. The forest grows rougher, rocks biting into her feet, branches tearing at her skin. Her strength bleeds out of her with every step. The silver heat that once burned so fiercely now flickers, unstable, like a fire starved of air. By the time she stumbles into the cave, she's barely holding herself upright. It's shallow, hidden behind a curtain of hanging roots and stone. The kind of place you don't find unless you're desperate, or unless you've spent years learning how to disappear. She collapses against the rock wall, breath rasping, vision swimming. The wound at her side throbs in time with her pulse, deep and angry. She presses her forehead to her knees and laughs weakly. So this is how it ends. Not with fire. Not with prophecy. Just exhaustion. She doesn't hear him arrive. She feels him. The air shifts. Warmth replaces the bite of the cold. Her instincts stir, confused, too tired to fight. When she looks up, he's there, filling the mouth of the cave, eyes glowing softly in the dark. The alpha. Her first instinct is fury. Her second is relief she hates herself for. I told you not to follow me, she says, though the words barely make it past her lips. I didn't, he replies quietly. I tracked your blood. He steps inside and kneels in front of her without hesitation, without asking permission. He moves like he's afraid she might vanish if he doesn't act quickly enough. Firelight blooms as he strikes a flame, the small fire casting shadows across stone and skin. That's when he sees them. Her scars. Not just glimpses. Not edges hidden by torn fabric. Fully revealed in the flickering light, burned symbols crossing her back, raised and uneven, glowing faintly silver beneath the skin. His breath stops. For a long moment, he doesn't touch her. Doesn't speak. His control fractures in small, dangerous ways, his jaw tightening, his hands curling into fists, his eyes darkening with something raw and violent. This is what they did to you, he says finally, voice low and shaking. She looks away. Don't. Look at me, he says. She does. And the anger there isn't aimed at her. It never was. He cleans her wounds with careful hands, movements reverent, restrained by effort. Every time his fingers brush her skin, heat curls through her, slow and unfamiliar. She flinches once, and he stills instantly. Tell me to stop, he murmurs. She doesn't. When he finishes, silence settles between them, thick and intimate. The fire crackles softly. Outside, the forest breathes. He sits back against the cave wall, exhaustion pulling at his features now that he's stopped holding himself together. I hesitated today, he says, staring into the flames. And people think it was about you. She doesn't respond. It wasn't, he continues. It was about them. His voice roughens. I once chose wrong. I chose fear disguised as order. I listened to a counsel that promised safety. He swallows. I lost my mate that day. And half my pack with her. She turns toward him slowly, the ache in her chest sharpening. They burned because I was afraid of becoming the alpha who broke everything, he says. So I let everything break anyway. The firelight dances across his face, carving truth into every line. He looks at her then, really looks like he's bracing himself. When I saw your scars, he says, I recognized the lie immediately. Her breath stutters. He leans closer, not touching, just close enough that she can feel him, his warmth, his restraint, the quiet storm beneath his skin. I see you, he says softly. Not your power. Not your curse. You? Their breaths mingle. The space between them narrows until it feels charged, electric. She tilts her head up without meaning to. He freezes, giving her time, giving her choice. For a heartbeat, nothing exists but that almost. Then she pulls back, pressing her forehead against his chest instead, trembling. Don't make promises you can't keep, she whispers. He rests his chin lightly against her hair, careful, deliberate. Then don't stay if you don't want to. She closes her eyes. For the first time in years, she doesn't feel like running. And that terrifies her more than any prophecy ever could. Morning doesn't bring peace. It brings drums. Low. Distant. Deliberate. The sound crawls through the forest and into the cave, vibrating through stone and bone alike. She wakes with a sharp inhale, heart already racing, the silver heat inside her restless and uneasy. The alpha is on his feet instantly, body tense, eyes narrowed toward the cave mouth. They've called a gathering, he says. Her stomach drops. They found me. He doesn't deny it. They don't have time to run. By the time they reach the clearing, wolves already ring the ancient stones. Packs from every direction. Colors, scents, symbols she recognizes, and some she doesn't. Too many. Far too many. Whispers follow her like a sickness, as she steps into the open. Recognition flashes across faces. Fear sharpens it. A figure breaks from the crowd. Someone she knows. Someone who smiled at her once. Shared fire with her once. A survivor like her, or so she thought. The traitor's voice rings out, loud and proud. There she is. The marked one. The clearing explodes. Shouts. Growls. Accusations slamming into her from all sides. The council rises as one, robes heavy, expressions carved into certainty. She carries the silver flame, an elder declares. The prophecy speaks clearly. Another steps forward. Her fire will end us. The words echo, repeated, fed, sharpened. End us. Her chest tightens. She looks to the Alpha, searching his face for something solid. He stands rigid at her side, jaw clenched, eyes dark with fury barely leashed. They drag the prophecy out like a weapon. Twist it. Bend it until it fits their fear. A ritual must be performed, the elder announces. To bind her power, or destroy it. Kill her, without saying the word. The crowd murmurs approval. Her vision tunnels. The silver heat inside her flares violently, reacting to the threat, to the lies pressing in on her from every direction. She digs her fingers into her palms, grounding herself, refusing to give them the satisfaction. The elder turns to the Alpha. You brought her into sacred ground, he says. This burden is yours. Choose. The words hang there, heavy enough to crush. The Alpha steps forward. Her heart stops. He moves into the center of the circle, away from her. Away. Every instinct screams. The space between them feels like a wound splitting open. This is it, she thinks. This is where he breaks his promise. Silence stretches. Too long. She watches his back, waiting for him to turn. To speak. To claim her. He doesn't. Not yet. The crowd leans in, hungry. Something inside her snaps. The silver heat surges without permission, ripping through her control like paper. Pain explodes across her back as her scars ignite, blazing white-hot. She gasps, falling to her knees as power tears loose, spilling into the air. The ground trembles. Runes carved into stone flare to life. Wind whips through the clearing, violent and wild. Wolves stagger back, some falling, others howling in fear as the pressure slams into them. She cries out, not in triumph, but betrayal. Of course this is how it ends. Alone. Branded again. The Alpha spins. Her power roars higher, answering her hurt, her rage, her grief. She can feel it now, ancient, furious, protective. It wants to burn everything down. And then he steps between her and the council. Fully. Deliberately. His voice cuts through the chaos, sharp as steel. Enough. The world stills. Every eye locks on him. I will not sacrifice her to soothe your fear, he says. And I will not let you turn prophecy into an excuse for murder. The elder's face hardens. Then you stand against us. I stand with truth, the Alpha replies. Her breath catches. Too late, whispers erupt, calls for his removal, his death, his replacement. Power shifts. Lines are drawn in real time. He looks back at her then. Not apologetic. resolute. But the damage is already done. Her power crests, uncontrolled, grief-fueled and furious. Light explodes outward, throwing wolves back, cracking stone, splitting the altar down its center. She rises slowly, shaking, eyes burning silver. "If you want a monster," she says, voice echoing with something not entirely her own, "stop lying about what I am." The clearing trembles beneath her feet. This isn't over. It's only just begun. The ritual circle is already carved when she returns. Stone rings etched deep into the earth. Blood-dark symbols soaking into the ground. Elders chanting words older than mercy, voices rising and falling in practiced certainty. They meant to finish this without her watching. They never expected her to come back. She steps into the clearing like a living wound, power rolling off her in waves that bend the air. The sky responds instantly. Clouds tear apart overhead, silver lightning stitching the heavens together, thunder cracking so close it rattles bone. Every voice dies. Her scars blaze. Not raw pain anymore, but purpose. The marks on her back shift, lines rearranging, symbols unlocking themselves. What was once a brand becomes a language. Glowing sigils crawl across her skin, alive, answering the storm above. The ground shakes. She lifts her hands, and the silver flame answers fully this time. It does not burn her. It rises around her like a crown, like memory finally reclaimed. Wolves fall to their knees, not from force, but recognition. The elders stagger back, faces pale, mouths open in disbelief. "This wasn't how it was written," one gasps. A laugh echoes through the clearing. Not hers. A shadow peels itself from the edge of the ritual space, ancient and smiling. A presence that feels wrong the moment it's seen. Old. Patient. Familiar in the way lies always are. Written by whom, the figure asks smoothly. The truth snaps into place with brutal clarity. This was never prophecy. It was manipulation. Generations shaped by fear. Stories bent just enough to guide packs into obedience. Power hoarded by a single hidden hand that never risked itself. The silver flame surges higher, furious now. Voices rise inside her, deep. Layered, steady. Ancestors. Wolves who were silenced. Ones who burned before her. They don't command her. They stand with her. She steps forward, eyes blazing, voice carrying across sky and stone alike. "I was never meant to be burned," she says, every word striking like thunder. "I was meant to burn away lies." The shadow recoils. Lightning crashes down, splitting the ritual stones clean in half. The false symbols shatter, ash lifting into the air like broken history. The manipulator screams as silver fire consumes the darkness it hid behind, unraveling it thread by thread until there's nothing left to fear. Silence crashes down after. Heavy. Sacred. She stands at the center of it all, breathing hard, power settling into her bones like it finally knows where it belongs. The flame dims, not gone, but controlled. Hers. She turns. The Alpha steps forward. Slowly. Deliberately. Then he kneels. Not in submission. In respect. He lowers his head before her, placing his fist over his heart. "Not as ruler," he says quietly. "As equal." The crowd follows, one by one. Not because they are ordered to, but because they understand now. She isn't their weapon. She never was. She meets his gaze, something fierce and soft colliding in her chest. The silver heat hums steady now, no longer a storm, no longer alone. For the first time in her life, she stands unbranded. unbound. And no one dares call her a curse again. Ash drifts through the clearing like grey snow, soft and weightless, settling over broken stone and bowed heads. The storm has passed, leaving the world hushed, as if it's holding its breath after surviving something it barely understands. She stands alone at the center. The silver glow has faded from her skin, but its memory lingers, etched into the air, into every pair of watching eyes. Power no longer roars inside her. It hums. Steady. Awake. Patient. Around her, wolves rise slowly. No cheers. No triumph. Just silence thick with reckoning. They look at her differently now, not with awe alone, not with fear, but with the fragile uncertainty of those who realize they were wrong too late. The Alpha remains kneeling. She watches him for a long moment, then turns away. Victory tastes strange when it comes wrapped in loss. What was taken from her can't be returned by fire or truth or kneeling vows. She walks to the edge of the clearing, boots crunching softly over ash. Each step feels heavier now that the battle is done. Strength was easier when survival demanded it. What comes after requires something sharper. He rises and follows. Not as Alpha. As the man who once hesitated. They stop a few paces apart. The distance between them is small, but dense with everything unspoken. The night presses close, moonlight threading through smoke, casting pale lines across his face. She studies him, searching for certainty and finding none. Only honesty. Her voice, when she speaks, is quiet. Not accusing. Not bitter. Tired. Would you have feared me too? The question cuts deeper than any blade. It isn't about the council. Or the ritual. Or the lie that almost killed her. It's about him. His jaw tightens. He doesn't answer immediately. Leadership taught him how to speak without revealing weakness. Love taught him how to fail at that. Yes, he says at last. And I hate myself for it. The truth lands between them, raw and unarmored. She nods slowly, absorbing it. Acceptance does not mean forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But the question needed to be asked. The wound needed air. She turns her face to the sky, where the clouds are thinning, moonlight growing stronger. For the first time, the night does not feel like a threat. It feels like a path. Behind her, the pack waits. Watching. Wondering which way she'll walk. She steps forward, into the darkness beyond the clearing, where the world is still unwritten. If this story stirred something wild inside you. If you felt the pull of the flame instead of the fear of it. If you believe some hearts are forged, not broken. Subscribe to Moonbound Werewolf Romance Stories. Because here, we don't fear the fire. We follow it.